What is up, everybody? This is Jake with JD Fit and the Evolve Your Fitness podcast. I'm here to talk to you about wall balls, specifically how wall balls scale from men to women. See, this year in the semifinals, which just got over, right? CrossFit HQ decided to have everybody throw a heavy ball, 30 pounds for men, 20 for women, but they had the ladies throw it to a 10-foot target. Chaos ensued, okay? Now, before we get started, I want to let you know I'm incredibly biased when it comes to this, all right? My wife, Ashley, she's 5 foot tall. She was in the semifinals, and I took it personally. So, once this happened, people were arguing on the internet. They were talking physics, but when they were talking about physics, they were saying things that are just simply incorrect. They were talking about if you throw a 20-pound ball this many feet into the air and you multiply, you get this many foot-pounds of energy, but that's not the way you figure out the forces. Now, I knew that, but if I'm being honest, I failed high school physics. I apologize, Mrs. Alvey. I know I didn't apply myself in class. I'm trying to redeem myself right here, okay? I knew that there was more at play than just the weight of the ball and how far you throw it, because gravity is in effect, okay? Every time the ball leaves your hand, you have to throw it with enough force that it overcomes gravity on its trajectory up to its target. Now, that being said, I know that gravity works at 9.8 meters per second squared, but I don't really know what that means, okay? So, while I knew it was incorrect, I also knew I didn't know. So, that's when I gave my good friend Ben Sasser's dad, Gary, a call. Now, Gary was a mechanical engineer for an aerospace company for his entire life. There are certain times in his life where you could refer to him as a rocket scientist, okay? So I think he was pretty qualified to help me out, and he delivered, okay? Before I get into this, I want to go over the heights that I came up with for where the ball leaves the hand. This is anecdotal. You can punch a hole in that, sure. I am 5'9" 3/4". I reached overhead. I measured between my thumbs, and I came up with 83 3/4 inches, okay? I took 3/4 inch off just because I'm a little bit over the average height, and my arms are pretty long. Now for the ladies, I took a member of the gym who was 5'4", okay? And I measured her in between the thumbs. I did between the thumbs because that's about the point that the ball leaves the hand, right? And she got 76, okay? So I took mine down a little bit, and I left hers. Technically, I think average height in the U.S. is 5'3.5". So if anything, I even skewed the power equation, right, towards women a little bit more. Like the women's will come up a little light, okay? So let's go over this. If a lady is throwing 32 inches into the air, right, 14-pound ball to hit the 9-foot target, they create 37.33 foot-pounds of kinetic or potential energy. Now, a guy throwing a 20-pound ball to 10-foot target, travel 37 inches, they're going to create 61.67 foot-pounds of energy, which creates a 60.5% ratio, which I don't think is correct. Right? We like to sit in that 70% range. That's how we usually scale for women, somewhere in there. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but that's 70% is a good starting point. 60.5% is nowhere near that. So I'm not arguing that this is correct. I think that's incorrect, okay? In the open, we had a heavy wall ball workout, or a wall ball workout with a lot of wall balls, and the ladies dusted the guys, right? They beat them by a minute or over a minute, right? And for some reason, every time the ladies dust the guys, everybody's up in arms as if it couldn't possibly be fair, okay? So let's go over to our correction then, okay? But I do agree that this isn't correct. Now, in the semifinals, we went with a heavy wall ball, right? We took a 20-pound ball up to a 10-foot target. And I will say, if you notice, this ball is actually even 1 pound lighter than the 70%, 20 to 14, that's 70%. This is 1 pound lighter than 70% of 30. But throwing that ball now 44 inches into the air because of a higher target, we create 73.3 foot-pounds of potential or kinetic energy. Whereas the guys, if you throw 37 inches into the air again with a 30-pound ball, we're going to create 92.5 foot-pounds of energy. That is 79.2%, which I find, quite frankly, unacceptable. For reference, if you were to do a snatch in a workout or a clean and jerk in a workout, if you were to use 225 pounds for men, 79% would be 175 pounds. And that's just not even close. And if you think it is, you're high. Okay? So, what to do? Right? We're a scientific community, or we like to fancy ourselves that. So, my belief is we need to come up with scientific solutions. Okay? So, and for all my nerds out there, I wrote all the equations down below each one, figuring out the kinetic energy, so you can double check that. If for some reason it's incorrect, it's not because Gary did it incorrect, it's because I copied it down incorrectly, okay? So, here's some potential fixes for this using science. You could do a 12-pound ball to 10 foot. That equals 44 foot-pounds of energy, and that's 71.3%, right, of the men's 20-pound to a 10-foot. That's getting closer. You could also use a 14-pound ball to 9'6", and that creates 44.33, which is 71.9%. Personally, I like the ones that are like 9'6", right? That means that the distance traveled once it leaves the hand is similar. The time that the ball is in the air dictates how much time the rep takes, which should get us closer in times and stimulus for both parties, okay? And another benefit, Rogue could sell us all new targets that have a 9'6" mark and a 10-foot mark, and they can make more money, and it'll be good for everybody all around, okay? So that's 2 fixes for our normal wall ball. And now for our heavy wall ball, if we go over here and we figure out if you do an 18-pound ball to a 10-foot target, you create 66 foot-pounds of energy. That's 71.4%, okay? You can also take a 20-pound ball to 9'6", and that creates 63.3 foot-pounds of energy, and that's 68.4%. All right. Now, this one's 1.4 over. This is 1.6 under. They're both very close. Once again, I always like the height one, right? Maybe it's okay if we just give it to the ladies on that one and let them have it. Who knows? But that's just one way that you could possibly, or 2 ways that you could possibly fix it. I think that this is really important, and I think that not a lot of people have actually figured out the true science behind it. And so hopefully this helps somebody figure out what we should do in the future. Yeah, happy wall balling. Hope you like this. Hope it didn't, offend you or hurt your feelings, whatever. Yeah, have a great day. Thanks for listening. See ya.